evening and welcome to The Buck Stops Here. Well, today is the 50-day deadline of this government, 50 days after which things as far as the cash replacement strategy are supposed to get better. Joining us now, the Power Minister Piyush Goyal. Good to speak to you today. There's so much to ask about what the road ahead is. But I must ask you first, there is a great deal of interest on what the Prime Minister will likely say. Now, I know what your answer is, but so I'll ask you a broader question. Is it likely to be phase 2 of demonetisation or announcements to that effect?
I think the people of India have given us tremendous support. They have stood by the government. They have, despite some inconveniences, welcomed this historic initiative of the Honourable Prime Minister. And I think at the end of this 50-day period, the Honourable Prime Minister would like to share his happiness and his gratitude with the people of India. Other than that, of course, I don't know what else he would like to talk to the people. But it's an opportunity to reflect on the huge success that this move has been. It's an opportunity to also reflect on how this government has, over the last 2.5 years, been able to impactfully make a difference to the economy, make a difference to black money, make a difference to corruption. I mean, in a manner of speaking, today is also a very important day because the Singapore Treaty has been renegotiated. Yeah. The Honourable Finance Minister just told us about that. Now, that was the last nail in the coffin in a way. Cyprus and Mauritius having already been resolved. Sure. Now with Singapore, this round-tripping problem and the misuse of DTAs is once and for all come to an end. Something which people have been talking about for 20 odd years, but been unable to do anything.
So that's a very big step. The other thing that's been announced, the BHIM application. It's BHIM as in Bhimrao Ambedkar, of course, and it's not BHIM from Mahabharata, but it is a very important step because it means with one finger you will be linked to your bank accounts. How will it work?
Vishnu, India today is going to lead the world in the digital payment space. What has the world done so far? They've gone, at best, originally they were at debit and credit cards using POS machines. At best, in some parts of the world, we see a little bit of M-Pesa, for example, in Kenya, or a little bit of traction on digital payments in Bangladesh. But other than that, the Western world seems to be living in its own limited sphere of digitalization. India has leapfrogged technology. And today, after UPI and USSD's success, this Aadhaar-enabled payment system is going to revolutionize the way the world works.
So how is somebody going to transact in a village, for example?
Well, the person in the village will walk up to a store. The storekeeper only needs to have attached to his phone a simple device, which even today costs only 2,000 rupees. After my LED experiment, I suspect when we take 5 crore of those all over the country, it'll go down to maybe 200-300 rupees.
Right.
And for all you know, it will be packaged along with the smartphone going forward.
Right.
I'm told now new smartphones have enabled a device within the smartphone. That this phone itself will read your fingerprint. So a person just needs to walk up there and his Aadhaar number, by and large now the country, everybody knows their Aadhaar number. Almost every adult, 99% adult has an Aadhaar number. He gives his Aadhaar number. That Aadhaar number is linked to his bank account. So the money also doesn't move out of the bank account to a debit card or anything. It continues to earn him interest. And with the thrust being given to having money parked in banks and money disbursed through the banking channels, this money, instead of lying idle at homes and offices, will earn him interest.
You made an important point. It's not a Visa or a MasterCard or a debit card or a credit card or a company which would make money off this. It's money from the account of the person with an Aadhaar card and their fingerprint and the person who's receiving the money. There is no cash that goes out.
There is no intermediary. The National Payments Gateway.
The transaction is free.
Absolutely mind-boggling performance this gives you. The person's identity is proven by his fingerprint, something which cannot be duplicated or fudged. And the payment is transacted from his bank to the merchant's bank. The entire process is seamless. To my mind, this is how maybe 5 years from now the whole world will want to transact.
Okay, what about the fact that infrastructure in terms of IT, of broadband, 3G, even 2G is not available in many parts of the country. How will this application potentially suffer?
Well, I think already now we have about 60% penetration of 3G.
Yeah.
And that is rapidly growing. I've been talking to the telecom companies. They tell us that now spectrum is no more an issue.
Right.
So it's just their infrastructure backend that needs to be upgraded.
And that's important.
And they're investing. Vodafone, for example, the other day was telling me they brought in some 48,000 crore rupees into the country.
So when do you foresee almost 100% reach to enable these machines to work?
Well, I wouldn't know the exact date. I'm sure
this
the Ministry
year, within
of,
a year, or I mean, because
probably,
it's important.
Probably not later than that.
Okay, I'm going to go back to sort of pushing you to give me more on what the Prime Minister may likely say. I'm sure he'll talk about BHIM. I'm sure he'll talk about this technology. It's a fair guess. Absolutely.
It's a big achievement.
It's an enabler.
Absolutely.
Right, going forward. Is he likely going to talk about restrictions on cash withdrawals going?
I don't know whether that's something which Prime Minister will have to delve on. But the important aspect is what's happening on the ground today. By and large, the issue of lines on ATMs and bank branches is over. Maybe 2 or 3 cities where you find 10, 12, 15 people outside an ATM. That also because a large number of ATMs have still not got fully operational.
Right.
We are making an effort that going forward, more and more ATMs come back into operation. And maybe in a few weeks now, we may have all the ATMs fully up and about and running.
Right.
If you look back, the historical average withdrawal from an ATM before demonetization was 3,500 to 3,600 rupees.
Right.
Per
transaction.
Per
account. Per account.
Right. Not per
transaction. No, per account.
Per account. In
yeah,
a month.
obviously, yes.
Now, given that situation, I don't see any reason why India needs to have very, very large limits or worry about the limits today. Take the monthly withdrawal limit of 100,000 rupees, 24,000 into 4, 96,000 rupees. I don't know what you require in cash. I have yet to meet anybody who's told me that he cannot run his home with a lakh of rupees in cash. Those who have the ability to spend more and hopefully are paying their taxes honestly can also transact digitally.
So are you therefore telling me that the withdrawals on cash, the limits on cash withdrawals will not
No, I'm
change?
not saying that. I don't know.
But you believe that it shouldn't necessarily change?
My own sense is they can change, they will change, and ultimately they will go away. But it won't make any significant difference to our lives.
But if it goes back to the old system where you could withdraw as much as you want, isn't that also a way in which people avoid using a digital economy, a plastic card?
I think that awareness is coming in the people now. By the way, I'll just correct myself. It's 3,600 per transaction.
Right.
Just to correct myself.
Right.
So even if the limit was to go up slightly from 2,500 to 3,500, it would really bring the average back. Just wanted to correct my own mistake. The fact of life is that the withdrawal limits are not as important as having money in the ATMs available anytime, whenever a person wants it. The bigger picture is the awareness that has been created today in the country. After all, why did people support Mr. Modi so wholeheartedly? Why did we get blessings of people across the country, even despite the inconvenience? Because they recognize that a more honest transaction, a more honest economy, where everybody is on a level playing field, paying their taxes, all transactions are reported, so revenue comes to the government. That revenue goes to serve the poor, serve the farmers, serve the women and youth of this country. They understand that more people paying their taxes honestly, logically will lead to some relief for the middle class, for the common man. Farmers in any case know they are not taxed at all, and they'll not be taxed in the future also. They are free from income tax, and almost no other taxes are applied to them in the normal course. So the situation is where, if you ask me, today a common man is going to go to a shop and insist on a bill.